begin by saying I've never had a press conference before when I kept press out.
How did you think it went today?
So I got to talk about this. There was zero intention. It would have been silly. There was no logic to keep press out of a press conference.
Right.
So I was upstairs on the 5th floor. I don't know what was going on outside the wall, so I didn't know. All I did know is that there were people that had been in these meetings in the past that were allowed to come in, and I wanted them, even if they disagreed with me, I didn't care. I didn't want to have people that wanted to disrupt a meeting.
Yeah.
But those security people did not work for me, they worked for the convention center. And somebody through communications wasn't accurate, because it would have been silly for me not to have Rhode Island Future and Providence Business,
Yeah.
National Public Radio, and the Providence Journal not there. So
Right.
I don't have press conferences without press. It makes no sense.
And
so let
you
me
didn't see the text from me and other people specifically asking about...
Absolutely not, because I didn't have the phone with me when I'm on a podium.
Okay.
I did. When I left there, I went to look at my texts, and I saw 2 from you, telling me what was happening. I said, excuse my English, shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Bob Plain is not, because you would probably even, maybe, I don't think you would, but if you disagreed with what I said, which maybe you do, because some of this gets poisoned after a while, I would have wanted you there to ask me the tough questions they can ask me now.
Yeah. Well, so one of the tough questions I've asked you in the past was, I think that this kind of work is done better by the public sector rather than the private sector. Now we're seeing a scenario where the private sector led the way, and even the Providence Journal, even RI Future, was excluded from trying to inform the public about what you're trying to do.
Well, I think
so does that give you any kind of pause that maybe the efforts you're leading would be better led by, say, Mayor Alorza, for example?
Well, I think he'll be talking about it tomorrow, but if anything, 2 things. Number one, I'm talking to you now, and I'm going to talk to all the media that weren't there. I canceled everything on my schedule this afternoon to do just that. Mm-hmm. Secondly, sometimes through bad things, some good things can happen.
Right on.
And if anything, who was talking about the problems of homelessness 3 months ago?
Not a lot of people.
Nobody was. Zero.
Yeah.
And this all stemmed from, and it's a process, I'm not in favor of panhandling. I don't think it's safe, and I don't think it's good for the city to have panhandlers all around the place.
Right.
I think somebody's going to get hurt. I think somebody's going to get killed by a car. After saying that, while we were going through that process, that then said, well, why is there's an underlying problem here, that people don't have beds to sleep in.
Right.
So you have a homeless problem that's legitimate. Secondly, through more investigation with people, and this is why I called meetings, not for people to vote on, to give me advice, to give me their ideas, give me their suggestions. And with that, it had to do with, well, you've got a substance abuse problem out there. You just can't arrest people and think you're going to have a better city just by filling up your prisons.
Right.
And then there's also problems of you get the panhandling, you get the homeless problem.
Before we get too far into the problems, let's talk about let's talk about the process. So I want to repeat my question.
I think this process was good.
You think it was good, even though RI Future, Providence Business News, Rhode Island Public Radio, and the Providence Journal were excluded from being able to report on this? You still think it was a good process? Yeah,
because you know why? We're talking now, unfiltered, on camera. You don't have a lot of people in the room. You can ask me anything you want. Secondly,
which is beneficial for the press, Joe, because we get to play off each other. So this is actually
a press conference was.
And you agree with that? So you're now saying it would have been beneficial for Amanda, me, Rhode Island Public Radio.
Why have a press conference without press?
Yeah, so you wish I was there, but you're saying the process was good. Those things seem incongruous to me.
If you have forgiveness in your heart,
which I do,
and if other media people realize that I'm on the 5th floor and you were stuck on the 1st floor, I can't see 5 floors below me, and I did not have any of my representatives down there. And if anything, as I said to Beryl, handles press for us, you should have been down there making sure that the press was there. never would I have thought that the security is going to keep press out of a press conference.
Yeah, right. And so, to my point, the public sector definitely has a higher regard for the press, the media, the public being...
I have high regard for the press. That's why I'm meeting with you
but
now.
you didn't
That's why
today,
I've apologized.
Joe.
I didn't today
You
because
didn't
I didn't
even
know.
think to have your press guy down there.
That shows you I'm a little
so
rusty.
He could...
I'm a little rusty. I'm
Whereas
a business
Mayor
guy.
Alorza wouldn't be rusty on this. He's well versed on this. So that's why...
That's why the people have elected him mayor, not me.
But so you still think this is a job best handled by the private sector rather than the public sector? See, my point is, I think the private sector blew it today by keeping the media out.
If they wanted to keep the media out, they would have blown it. The private sector did not want to keep the media out because there was media there. There were some media people that weren't there, and that was a mistake by security guards that don't even work for us. So if anything, it's bringing the, it's like Clinton. Are we going to talk about her having pneumonia and she's sick and this and that? Or are we going to talk about why is Trump talking to Putin?
I say we talk about both of them. Do you only want to talk about one of them?
No, why aren't we talking about issues that really matter? And this issue is, if a press person didn't come in, I've apologized and said I wish that didn't happen. 2, I'm making up for that by meeting with everybody that wasn't there. 3, the bigger problem is we have people that need jobs, we have people that are homeless,
Yep.
we have people that have substance abuse problems, and for the first time ever, the private sector is saying we want to help. Now, if the situation is, don't help us, let us just deal with our elected officials, they're the ones that make policy anyways. But if they want us to help, I think we came up with some pretty good ideas today and suggestions that can be debated, amended, discarded.
Awesome. So the homeless activist community in Providence disagrees that you had good suggestions.
There were some that were there that said that.
They took a lot of umbrage with your suggestions. They communicated that they thought that they were misguided in not addressing the problems, that all you were doing was moving the problems away from your investment properties rather than trying to...
On the contrary, I think I've said... are they advocating that people should be sleeping on sidewalks instead of a bed? Because that's what I'm advocating. Are they advocating that a person should be sitting on a sidewalk instead of a park bench? Which I'm advocating.
Yeah, so
are they saying that my suggestion that a person who has a substance abuse problem, instead of being in a prison, should be in a treatment center? That's what I'm advocating. I don't see much disagreement.
They think you're advocating that the person with the drug problem on the bench should be away from your real estate or the economic center of Providence. So what they're saying is, you're saying you want to do away with this problem when you really just want to push it away from where your investments are.
I want to push it away from the entire state if people have substance abuse problems. I have members of my own family that have had substance abuse problems. I've witnessed this firsthand. The best way to help them is to give them a job and a place to sleep, and to make sure that they have somebody that can be a mentor, somebody that they can reach out to, that when they have that urge to talk to. So I'm not immune from the same problems that anybody else is.
Sure.
Okay, so every family has these challenges.
I think today, and correct me if I'm wrong, I wasn't there, I think today you pledged to create 2 jobs and make 1 micro loft available. Are 2 jobs in 1 apartment enough to...
Oh, absolutely not. But if every developer and every property owner makes the same pledge that I made, then just think how many more beds we're going to have.
So to that end, would you support that being a new condition of development, that you have to create new jobs and make even more affordable housing available? Or would you prefer it just be the developers that want to and or are in a position to do so can do that, but if they don't want to or aren't in a position to do so? Like, should we have teeth behind this, or should this be something that developers can do if they want to but don't have to do if they don't want to?
Everybody's going to speak for themselves, and that's up to the public sector to
Tell me
decide
what you
if
think
they want
about
to do
it.
that.
Tell me your opinion. Do you
I
think
think
it should
for
be
me-
mandatory, or do you think it should be if a developer wants to
I
do
don't
it?
I don't like mandates for anybody, but if there's a trading process going on, then that's a different story.
Okay.
And nobody's asking me to do it. When I was sitting with Karen Santilli from Crossroads, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
She said to me, if everybody that's building housing units puts one or two aside and works under a formula of a reduced rent than what they're receiving, then that would be helpful. And what I've seen is that there's a $50 million bond issue for housing that should be really discussed more than just first-time home buyers. It should be done for people that really need a bed to sleep in and a home to be in. And secondly, if I'm doing a development, and this is the first time I've ever built apartments, which are micro lofts, and I still haven't gotten my financing yet, I said, you know something, I'll set one aside and let's see how that works. And that's my position.
So is that addressing the problem, or is that a token offer, one micro loft?
Well, that is what I'm doing. There are other people that do housing. I'm in more office and retail than I do have housing. But I believe that it's something that all developers should look at, and these are policies that can be done. If somebody feels that they have that opportunity to make it, and if we have the banks involved in it, let's do it. I'm going to try it, and let's see how it works for me. But I can only talk for me. Right. Today was interesting. I was chairing a committee where I've come out with some recommendations. I'm not an elected official. I don't set public policy. I am an advocate the way that the homeless advocates are advocates. Mm-hmm. So all I am is an advocate. I made recommendations. You could agree with them or disagree with them. I wasn't the guy that said, hey, I'm the mayor and this is going to happen. I don't have that authority. By the way, I don't want that authority. Other people are doing their job, and I think fine. The mayor came out.
You're now happy with the mayor's performance. The last time we spoke, you were disappointed in the mayor's performance.
And I have been very disappointed, but because
But it sounds like you're having a change of heart on that.
He had a change of heart.
Tell me about it.
Has he brought more enforcement into Kennedy Plaza?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's done some. Is he having a press conference tomorrow talking about homeless issues? Where was he 3 months ago? So because of what we
protecting
started,
the rights, the constitutional rights of homeless people who are trying to. That's where he was 3 months ago.
Is he not protecting their rights now?
In fact, I'd argue.
I think he's still protecting
I'd
their
argue
rights.
it wasn't until Mayor Alorza stuck up for the constitutional rights of poor people that he actually brought you into this. You didn't bring the community into this. Mayor Alorza brought you into it
because
and
of
you
an action that I disagreed with him.
Right. So you're kind of giving the credit to yourself, but it seems like as we talk about this a little bit,
I don't need credit.
It was Mayor Alorza who actually brought you into the process.
If you think
by
I'm doing
protecting their
if you think
constitutional
I'm
rights.
doing a good job by speaking out, and if you want to give me credit, I don't think I need credit or desire credit.
Okay.
Mayor Alorza made
I'd argue you don't deserve it today either. But.
Well, because I understand that. I appreciate it. But Mayor Alorza made a public policy decision back in January that I think exacerbated a problem that we have in the downtown.
Tell me what that policy decision that you think exacerbated the problem was.
Instead of trying to come up with thinking outside of the box and thinking of different ideas, how to make something constitutional, he said, I'm not going to go after aggressive panhandling.
And you don't agree with that decision?
You know,
do you still think Providence should be going after aggressive panhandling?
No, in fact, there's freedom of speech. The Supreme Court's ruled on that, and there's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah. Is that something that you've changed on over the months as we've debated this?
No, it's the law, and if that's the law, you got to go along with it. But if we can think of a way legally to address that problem, to limit it, and to save lives, and for a safety issue, like an ordinance that's being presented to the council on Thursday, where you can't give money back and forth to a car standing in the middle of a street, then that's the way to address it. So we've done that.
And that's on the books already, correct?
No, it's not on the books.
Okay.
No, the council's going to have to do it. The mayor verbally had told me that he would support it. We'll see if he does or not, but I am happy that we're bringing issues to light that nobody was talking about before. So if I'm being criticized for being in the private sector, for raising public policy concerns and issues, I'm guilty. Guilty. And, you know, the social service people told me the other day, when I was at Amos House, they said, you got to understand, a person who's sleeping in your vestibule or any building downtown in the vestibule outside in 10-degree weather or 100-degree weather. When a policeman goes to that person does not want to go to a shelter. They just want to roam the streets. And if you have social workers, the first time they're going to say, we don't need your help. The second time they may say, we don't need your help. The third time. But you may get them the fourth time.
It's just like sales.
And with me, trying to help these issues and bring them to light, and I want to advocate with them and try to help them get better funding, where business people have never done that before in the State House. You know, today was a situation, I don't know if they really knew what I was coming out with. Maybe they do, maybe they don't like what I said, but I'm going to be very consistent, and maybe the second time they may not like what I say. Maybe the third time, but maybe the fourth time they'll see, you know something? Paolino's real. He's not pushing us aside. I know that as a former political person, people have been burned a lot by politicians.
Yeah.
I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that politicians, when a social service agency comes to their office, they just want more money again. I know that a successful business person, and I hope I'm successful, I work hard at it, I can tell you that they may see me as a symbol and get frustrated with the symbol.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
But if they see that I'm going to roll up my sleeves and help them and get involved, and I said today I'm all in to try to help, then maybe my third try they'll say, gee, let's keep working with Joe.
So it
and
seems
maybe
like you're
they'll
not,
say they don't want me.
It seems like you're not
okay
deterred
too.
by the backlash to your plan today from the
That I'm not
homeless.
what?
You're not deterred by the backlash.
I understand
from
it. I understand why.
Okay.
Well,
And
I
how will you
understand that.
how
I
will you
haven't
win
just.
how will you win them over, Joe?
I think if I'm able to help them with some funding in the State House, and they see that I'm speaking out loud, if they see some deeds take place, then incrementally, hopefully I can win them over. And if I don't, I'm still not upset. I'm doing what I think I should do as a human being, as somebody who lives in this community for 61 years, and I think it's part of our objective as citizens to try to put us the right step forward. I really believe that. I've gotten into this, even though
That's obvious.
even though Megan and some of the other advocates, even Neville, who he's an attorney and they go for more extreme situations than me, but I do listen to them. I do listen for their logic. We may have a disagreement. Doesn't mean we have to disagree on 100 things, disagree on 2 things.
So one thing people were saying today is you might actually go to the State House and lobby for more funding
I'd like
for
to do that.
affordable.
I would like to do that.
Okay. Will you pledge to do that right now?
I did today, and I'll do it now.
Okay.
Over here, and I want to work because I truly believe a person shouldn't be sleeping on a sidewalk. It should be in a bed. A person shouldn't be eating out of a trash can. It should be at a kitchen table. A person shouldn't be in jail because they have a substance abuse problem. They should be in a treatment center. I also believe a person shouldn't be sitting on a sidewalk, take their shirt off, and just look at everybody back and forth, but and whacked out on monkey weed. That if they want to sit down, sit on a park bench. It's only common courtesy. It's only logic. And if my logic is harsh, it doesn't mean to be.
Okay.
It's not mean to be. That's not who I am.
So
for me to have a press conference and not have you there, what did I accomplish out of that? By trying to keep you out. If I was trying to keep you out, I wouldn't be with you today.
One could argue that there might have been an advantage to not having me there now and having me here now.
Trust me. No, I don't want to say trust me. Please understand that
I actually have a rule: don't trust anyone who says "trust me."
That's like somebody saying, "Let me tell you the truth."
Right.
You've been lying to me all this time.
Yeah.
So
how important to you is the anti-smoking ordinance?
Well, here's what I am with I'll tell you right now. Lift the ban of no smoking in Burnside Park. Lift the ban on no smoking in Ripta Plaza, and I'm fine. Don't pass an ordinance.
Not that important to you.
Okay. Now, if you're going to keep the ban on Burnside Park, you're going to keep the ban on Ripta, then do it for the rest of Kennedy Plaza.
What would you think about doing it for Federal Hill? No smoking on Federal Hill.
Well, my objective or job has nothing to do with Federal Hill. It has to do with the boundaries of downtown.
Let me ask you again. What would you think?
I don't think anybody should smoke. My father died of lung cancer 30 years ago. I was 40 pounds lighter, and I smoked 3 packs a day. So I'm anti-smoking. I think what Mike Bloomberg did in New York, of no smoking in restaurants, he did a service to not only America, but to the world.
But it doesn't sound like you would support a no smoking ban on Federal Hill.
It hasn't been talked about.
We're talking about it right now.
Yeah, but that's not my prerogative. My prerogative is downtown. The city of Providence, well-intentioned, passed a smoking ban in Burnside Park. Do you think all the people in front of CVS would be there if they could still smoke in that park? They wouldn't be sitting on the sidewalk. They'd be sitting on the grass in Burnside Park or the park bench smoking. Yeah. So what they did was they threw everybody in front of CVS. Now, let me ask you this. One of the best corporate citizens in Rhode Island is CVS.
Agreed.
They have 9,000 drugstores throughout the country.
Yeah.
They made a corporate decision that probably hurt their bottom line, that none of their stores will sell cigarettes.
Yeah.
Now you want to go in and buy cough drops, bubble gum, paper towel, hairspray, and you're walking into CVS. You have to go through a crowd of many people all smoking.
Yeah.
I mean, where's the common courtesy and understanding? So all I'm saying is, when that park ranger tells somebody in Burnside Park, you can't smoke here, go across the street, and that RIPTA security person is saying, you can't smoke here, go across the street, where are the rights of the owner of the CVS building and the other buildings along the so-called wall? Do we have rights too? I think we do. So I'm very easy. Make it for all of Kennedy Plaza, or have none of it. One or the other.
Okay.
But don't discriminate.
But that's the only area of Providence that there should be a law that we should protect people's health in.
Well, I said for all of downtown, but everybody shot me
But you don't think
down
we
on
should
that.
protect people's health on Federal Hill? We should only protect people's
I don't
health
think
in
anybody
downtown
should.
Providence.
I'll pass an ordinance citywide.
You'd support that?
Would it work?
Would you support that?
I don't know. Kind of, by the way, sometimes you can get silly on that, but because I'm anti-smoking, I'm for anything that's
all
anti-smoking.
of Berkeley, California is anti-smoking.
Now, I'd love to see it. I'm not against it. I hate people smoking near me. But what a contradiction. CVS sells no cigarettes, and everybody hanging there is smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. So there was something said today in some of the material. Downtown business owners believe they own the sidewalks. That that's
well, there's
their
a Supreme
property.
Court. There is a Supreme Court ruling. Nobody wants to hear this. Some of the advocates don't like hearing this, but there's a Supreme Court ruling that dates back to the 1940s up until 2006. And I'd be happy to have our attorney brief you on that at a later date. Not today,
sure,
but I'll have him brief you on it.
Yep.
And that property owners own their sidewalks. That's why when it snows, who plows the sidewalk?
The property owners. So you said up until 2006. Did that somehow?
Well, that was the last time there was a Supreme Court decision.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if there's been any others. By the way, I'm not an attorney. But the public, through the city, has a right of walking, a right of way to walk.
Yeah.
Okay. So the property owner not only has the right or has the ownership fee simple of that sidewalk, they have it halfway out to the street. So now, if you check when a city condemns or abandons a street, half goes to one property owner, half goes to the other property owner on the other side. That's how it's done. That's property rights.
Okay, so does that, by virtue of that, does that mean you believe that property owners, do you interpret that to mean property owners own the sidewalk before the municipality
I think
does that?
Well, I think yes, but I believe that it's kind of like a condominium association. A condominium association can have various rules and regulations. I think property owners, if they all agreed, could probably do the same thing on the sidewalks up and down. I think they could do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right way to go about that, and that's not a focal point. It wasn't even mentioned, I don't think, in my talk today, but I do believe it's something very legitimate that's out there. Why would I have to plow the street? Why do I get a citation from Public Works if there are bricks loose out there, or if there's a problem? So the property owner of the building, of your home, owns that sidewalk, but the public has a right of way to walk up and down it, to protest, to panhandle. You have that right. Absolutely. That right is there. And I think by rules and regulations you can do it. But I don't even want to go there, because like in this building here, we have rules and regulations. No smoking in the building, no smoking outside of the building.
Okay.
So if they can't smoke on the sidewalk outside of the building, why should somebody else do it? But the people have been very kind. We have signs, no smoking, people to come up there. So it's nothing to do, nobody to call. People have been respectful of that sign, and I believe, I don't care how educated a person is, I don't care if it's a person from a law firm with a suit, three-piece suit and a tie, outside smoking a cigarette, or if it's a person that's been hot on luck and doesn't have a job, and who may not look like a business person, because some people judge people by their looks. Like I'll judge you right now, you know.
I'm kind of judging you too, actually, Joe.
I know. But I don't believe that you or that person with the three-piece suit would say to a person, "You don't want me smoking? I'll leave. I'll go to the next spot." I mean, it's just common courtesy.
Well, do you worry at all about selective enforcement? So I actually take you at your word that you don't want someone dressed like me or you smoking in front of your property. I don't imagine every private security guard, police officer in Providence feels the same way.
I don't like it if I see a cop smoking a cigarette when they're on a detail.
So
not professional.
Do you worry at all about selective enforcement of these types of rules, or is that not something you worry about?
I haven't thought that way. I think common sense. And if something is common sense, it's common sense.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, I'll get back to today's press
What does
conference.
that mean, common sense? Does that mean there would be selective enforcement, or there wouldn't
If
be?
you were selectively asked not to come into the press conference today, that wouldn't be good common sense on my part.
I agree, it wasn't good common sense on your part.
But I didn't know about it. So if I didn't know about it, I don't think I can be judged about it, but I believe that I should have probably prepared.
Why didn't we get an invitation as other reporters did?
I don't know. We'll talk to Beryl before you leave here to find out. Because I had no problems with you coming to any meetings, because I believe we're Rhode Island Future and your readers are more progressive than I am on a lot of thinking. I read what you do and I see there's sometimes logic that I like. I read an article today that said that I forget who wrote it, Tom Seguris, said that I did the buses out there when I was mayor. Wrong, I didn't do it, Buddy Cianci did it.
Okay.
I turned it down when I was mayor.
Did you take umbrage to Tom's?
No.
You know,
I wish I had his number so I could have called and corrected him.
I'll make sure to put you together. I'm wondering if
I know
you...
Tom. I like Tom. Give me his number and I'll call him.
I'm wondering
no
if you
problems
took
correcting
umbrage. So
somebody.
Tom said that you're a poor person to be leading this because you can't possibly understand what it's like to be poor. And so you began your comments today by saying...
You're one paycheck away from being home.
You said we're all one paycheck away.
Yeah.
But you are not one paycheck away, are you, Joe?
I don't think so, and I hope not. But I'll tell you, during 2009, when the real estate recession hit, and a lot of real estate people lost a lot of property during that era. And if you don't think, I'm always concerned when I'm investing in a piece of real estate, making sure that I cover my debt, because if I make the wrong move, I am one paycheck away. Okay? If I make
I figured you were more like 12 buildings away from that.
You don't know how much money I owe.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know how many vacant buildings I have.
I assume you owe a lot, and I assume you got a lot stuffed in a mattress somewhere too, more than you owe.
No, my mattress is good just for my back.
All right.
But you just don't know. Some people can over leverage.
Yeah.
And if you don't think that I've wondered you know, this company was started by my great-grandfather, then my grandfather, my dad, and now me.
Yeah.
And there's always some generation that screws it up. And if you don't think of, when I've made a business decision, I say to myself, you know, don't be that one generation that screws this up.
Yeah.
And it concerns me.
I bet it does.
And so I'm very aware of when I'm trying to do something. But look, Providence is a nice city.
Yeah.
All right? The people here have challenges. They need help. I don't know the last time the business community ever got involved in social causes the way we're talking about now. I hope that there could be a step back.
Okay.
Let's see exactly what we're talking about. Tell me what areas in my talk you disagree with. You may say you should do more. We all want more.
Well, at this point,
Well,
I
tell me
think
what you-
it's transparency. Can we expect more transparency out of you in the business community on this?
If I'm serving in this role of the did, yeah, absolutely. If you've asked me, ask me 6 months ago, I say, Joe, how come you haven't been up there speaking on the finance committee on this issue? You know, I want to go with some of the social service agencies. I want to meet with Governor Raimondo. I want to meet with the speaker. I want to meet with the Senate president. Now, if they want to do that without me,
Have you spoken
if they
with Governor
think
Raimondo
listen,
about this?
I'm going to, believe it or not, I'm going to see her within the next few days. I'm going to chat with her about it.
Does that mean you haven't spoken with her about this?
No, really, I don't think it's not in detail the way I'm talking to you about.
Okay, but you have had
I've told her,
conversations with her.
I
about
have
this.
told her that I have a deep desire to be involved in trying to fix the homeless problem that we have in our state. She knows that directly from me, yes.
Okay, does she agree with you, or does she want...
I said we haven't had conversations in detail
Okay.
the way I am with you
All right,
now.
to the extent that you have had conversations, did you feel like you and her were on the same page or a different page?
It didn't go farther
Fair enough.
than that conversation.
Fair enough.
And I wanted to go farther, and some of those agencies that may be that disagree with some of our suggestions today, my suggestion to them is, let's agree to disagree on that. Tomorrow's another day, there's other issues. And what you can disagree on today, you can agree on something different tomorrow, and let's not burn bridges. I won't, but I know that I have to show deeds.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep coming back. But if they don't want me to help advocate with them, to speak at a House Finance Committee meeting, or to have a meeting with the governor with them, if they think they can do it without my involvement, that's fine. Who am I to say, I don't want to force myself upon anybody.
What do you think some of those deeds are that the activist community needs to see from you?
Well, I tell you what I heard from Eileen from Amos House, because I asked the question directly to her.
Yep.
And they got a great facility out there.
Yep.
And I said, what do you really need here to try to help the homeless problem and things that we're witnessing? And I said, Eileen, I can only talk about my boundaries. I don't have the authority. I'm not in public policy. I'm a business guy getting involved in this arena a little bit because of my job as chairman of the DID. So tell me what you think you need to help this with the homeless, and you need more beds. They keep on saying beds, beds, beds. It's like in real estate, location, location,
Yeah.
location.
Yeah.
Beds, beds, beds.
Right.
And she said to me, we think right away we could use about $1 million.
Yeah.
And long term, probably $5 million. And I don't think that $5 million is a one-shot deal. I think that's on an annual basis.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is you get everybody involved. When I was talking to Karen Santilli this summer about some of the, right after the legislative session, she told me how there was some things that she was working, and then a lot of the homeless groups had their budgets cut by the General Assembly, not or by some departments. Those departments didn't even know that they were cutting them. Coordination. That's all I try to do with bringing everybody to those tables. Coordination.
Yeah.
But I'm also, I think, astute enough to know that there are some people that want to talk and let's go through it. There's other people who will listen. If you don't say what they want, they're gonna argue, they're gonna debate, and they're gonna disagree, which they have that right to.
Yeah.
I can't please 100 people 100% of the time. I just can't do that. And I'm not in that job to do it either. Okay? My job is in the downtown area, and that's what my mission is.
Yeah.
If my mission was greater, I could talk greater, but I can't. And I'm not going to take authority away from the mayor of the city, or from the governor of our state, or our city council legislative leaders. That's them. What do they need to listen to me for? But as a business person, I'm going to speak out.
Let me ask you one more question. How do we improve on the process we saw kind of play out not perfectly today?
That next time I do a press conference, you'll get a phone call, and I'll have somebody meet you and bring you up.
Thanks,
All right.
Joe.
But
maybe you could do that for the other 3 media organizations that are kept out as well.
I've already talked to 2 of them, and I got 1 more to go. They wanted to talk to me at 12:30, but I said I got to be with Bob Flynn at 12:30. So, but I understand the anger, and I do feel bad about it. But look, sometimes people screw up, and there was a screw up today.
Yeah.
If that screw up was supposed to be intentional, we wouldn't be talking right now.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense to have a press conference without the press.
Okay. Is there anything I'm forgetting to ask you about that you want to talk about?
No, you're tough, but that's your job. And I think everything I'm talking about, I don't think anything I've mentioned is offensive to anybody that will be reading it.
The devil's always in the details. It's always easy to have the head guy come out and say a bunch of
Did you read
nice
my whole
stuff,
thing
and-
today?
Yes, I did.
Anything in there that you thought was offensive?
I thought it was offensive when you quoted someone saying we're all 1 paycheck away from being homeless, because I don't believe you're 1 paycheck away from.
Maybe I'm 1 business deal away.
That would have
See,
to be
it's
a
all
hell of a
different
business
degrees.
deal.
No, look, if I lose 2 big tenants in this building, I got a problem. I got a problem. That I can tell you. So you don't know what goes on in another person's house
True.
or in another person's checkbook.
True.
Nobody knows how wealthy I am. You know why? They don't know what debt I have. So, but I work hard and I've been successful. I'm glad.
Well, here's hoping you're tremendously wealthy and do tremendously good things with that wealth, Joe. Thanks a lot for your time today.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you. All right.